Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in San Luis Obispo, and we are joined today by a candidate for the Board of Supervisors in San Luis Obispo. His name is John Peschong. He is running for a seat essentially in North San Luis Obispo County.
It is.
And John, I must say, I've known your name for quite some time. I've seen your name on emails coming into me, and it's always been as a staffer for an elected official. And
That's
now
right.
You're a candidate, my friend.
I am.
What happened? Did you have like a brain synapse break or something?
You know, my wife would never give me permission
Exactly.
to do this, and she finally relented.
But what made you decide? Because look, I've known you to be an outstanding strategist.
Yep.
And of course, strategy is important to be an elected official, but it's different.
Yeah,
It's a different skill.
It is.
And so, why do you want to jump into the public arena?
Well, there's a couple issues that are really apparent in North County, and with the candidates that are in and Frank leaving, I didn't think the candidates that were jumping into the race were going to be able to address them. The first one is tax increases.
Right.
In our community, we have a lot of tax increases that come down the pike, and they usually lose. We just saw the Water District vote, as you know, lost 77% to 23%.
Let's talk about that, and then we'll go to the next issues.
Okay.
No question that San Luis Obispo, in a lot of ways, can be a bit schizophrenic on taxes. They'll pass taxes countywide, maybe for a school bond. Even in Atascadero, they've passed a sales tax increase. But there's still some nerves about increasing sales taxes and generally. It's likely that we will see on the November ballot an initiative countywide that would increase sales tax by a half cent for transportation projects. There's a lot of angst about crumbling infrastructure. Sacramento doesn't seem to be moving. They are in special session. They're not moving on it. And so the view is, I'm just going to play it out, that if this county passes a sales tax, they become self-help, they can get some more money from Sacramento or the feds. What's your sense?
I don't support the tax. I'll tell you why. First off, if you look at it's $25 million a year for 9 years, $225 million total. $33 million of that's going to go to bike paths in South San Luis Obispo County. Okay. In North County, our roads are crumbling. You just mentioned it. We're not getting the gas tax back from the state government. They've stopped that, all that money for roads. And in Paso Robles, the city of Paso Robles, they passed a half-cent sales tax on their own a year and a half ago to fix their own roads. So they're in the process of that. If you look at the history of tax increases in San Luis Obispo, and I'll just take 3 examples.
Please.
The first example is the one that was going to set up the mosquito-eating fish, as I call it, district, but the mosquito abatement district. And that was a property tax increase. It lost, I think, with 66% of the vote voting no against it when it needed 2/3.
It needed 2/3, it got 2/3 no.
No side. And that was probably 6 years ago. Then you just had the water vote.
Right.
The water vote was, as I said, 2/3. It was a tax increase.
Let's talk about this, because this Paso Robles Water Basin district vote was fascinating.
It was.
I mean, it was a complicated structure whereby they were creating a district where certain voting blocks in the district, large landowners, medium landowners, small landowners, residents, and we know that there's this sustainable groundwater plan that needs to be put in place by next summer, so we need some type of agency.
That's right.
I'll be honest with you, John, I just assumed it would pass because, I don't know, it just seemed like it was needed. We're going to get an agency at some point. It got swamped.
It did.
It got massacred.
77% of the vote against it. And I was on the no side from the very beginning. And I was on the no side because, they had listed it as $1 million a year. It was a tax increase, property tax increase, $1 million a year, every year for 5 years.
Think about this.
$5
Paso
million.
Robles, you said it. They just passed their own increase in sales tax for transportation.
And they were told that money would be going directly to roads.
But how crazy, I mean, in some ways, how impressive that the voters were able, and I'm not taking a position, but they kind of looked at one, and they said yes, they looked at another and said no.
Yeah. But the big ones that you look at, these countywide ones.
Right. What's the third one you were going to say?
Well, then the sales tax increase. So this is one coming up.
Okay,
So we're talking about the half-cent sales tax increase. We have a history of them not passing in this county on those specific issues. When you come to a city, though, you look at school. You look at a school bond like the Atascadero. It passed. The other school bonds, passed. There's also a lower threshold for school bonds.
Yeah, 55%.
Right. So you go to the 2/3, and then you're talking about an uphill battle.
But aside from whether it would pass or not, I do want to kind of dig deeply because, look, if you're on the Board of Supervisors, people will be turning to you for these issues. Sacramento doesn't seem to be moving.
No.
And so without them moving, I'm concerned, many are concerned, where are we going to get the money to improve the roads on the Central Coast? And in addition to the money that we can receive just through the sales tax, there is matching money.
Yep.
and we don't get that match if we don't have our own
if
sales
we don't
tax.
become a self-help county.
And
That's correct.
so, while, look, as we speak today, we don't exactly know if that 33 million will go to South County, whatever it is.
Right.
I mean, is there a scenario whereby you, sir, could support this if the package is written in a way that's fair to all parts of the county?
See, I go back to if you're gonna market this as a help the roads, and then you put $33 million in for bike paths, and I have nothing against bike paths.
But is that not helping the roads, arguably?
I disagree.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't believe that the bike paths and then the public transportation issue, your ridership on public transportation in this county is decreasing all the time. Less and less people are taking public transportation.
What is it? Is it Uber?
I actually think it's not Uber. I think people want to have their car.
Yeah, I understand.
And so what's happening though is that this has another $22 million for public transportation. And I understand why they did it. They did it because they need to be able to bring different interest groups into the coalition to get it passed. But then you're asking people in North County, where I live, to support this. That's going to.
Do you feel as if North County, as the deal's fashioned today, we don't know exactly, but do you feel as if North County is getting short shrift?
Well, you get Atascadero will get money and Paso Robles will get money, but the rest of the money in the county, I think it will be. I think it will get less money. Yes.
Really.
And I think that the problem is, to me, is a lot of these roads that they're talking about. Some of them are state highways. So why is the state not taking care of them?
Well, that's a huge question.
And so
let's presume you're victorious. What can you do? What will you do to get Sacramento moving on this? Because this is very frustrating. I mean, look, you know these statistics better than me, but let me just kind of throw them out there. California, state roads need $59 billion. The local roads, city and county roads, need $78 billion. And Sacramento's still fighting about oil severance, gas tax, mileage fee, tolls. I mean, we just keep talking.
More money and more money.
But we do need money.
And the county of San Luis Obispo has a surplus currently right now?
So, if you are on the board, would you look to move that surplus to roads?
The first thing I would do is look to move roads up on the priority level for spending within the county.
Okay.
Debbie Arnold tried to do that.
She's a current supervisor.
Current supervisor Debbie Arnold tried to do that. It was voted down because they didn't think the roads were important. They also knew that this was going to come and they're going to try to put a tax on there to be able to get the half. I think the county needs to prioritize roads, especially in the first district, supervisorial district. I think that needs to be priority.
What are the other issues? We spent so much time on this, but in the next minute or a half, what are the other issues?
The biggest issue that I find in the community right now is gang-related violence, and it's a big issue, and it is affecting the city of Atascadero, the city of Templeton, Paso Robles, up in San Miguel, out in Shandon. The whole area is affected by that.
Is it the opiate crisis?
It is the opiate crisis, and
I
bring a personal reason to this, and
Please.
I'll tell you my personal reason is
Please.
my nephew Jack was a student at Cuesta College. He got addicted to opiates. He got addicted to heroin. He died of a heroin overdose.
I'm so sorry.
And we're dealing with in this community, we're dealing with people that don't want to talk about it. I mean, look, I'm a Republican, and it's embarrassing to talk about, but I talk about it everywhere I go because we can't help families. We can't make a difference. We can't support the Sheriff's Anti-Drug Task Force. We need to do that. We need to get him everything he needs. We need to get the Anti-Gang Task Force fully funded so we can communicate in our community. We can say that gangs have no place in our community, and these drugs that they bring in have no place.
And is that the issue? The gangs are funding themselves through, it's now opiates?
Yes, it's opiates. It's opiates, and when opiates become harder to get their hands on, it goes to heroin. Because heroin is in the community, and I hear it all the time. It's in high schools in our community. It's in as far down as in our junior highs. And look, if you don't have to believe me, look at the MS-13 arrest that occurred in Napomo in the South. Right. MS-13, Los Angeles, a big Los Angeles Salvadorian gang.
Oh, Salvadorian.
And they are in our community right now. They arrested 15 of them, members of them, about a month and a half ago, and they were committing murders to take over the street gangs in Santa Maria, and they were in our county. And they're here right now. We need to be able to help the sheriff get the funding he needs to be able to make a difference in people's lives.
Sorry you're not having a good time running for office. I can tell you're having a great time. Of course, he is John Peschong. He is a candidate for the Board of Supervisors in San Luis Obispo County, North County specifically. The election will be held on June 7th. It's a primary. If you don't get 50% plus one, you go to a general in November. Right. Be sure to vote no matter what you do. My name is Brad Pomerance on the Central Coast. This is Charter Local Edition.